Hello everyone, this is our new recap, round number 8 of Olympiad. And today with me, as usual, FIDE Master Vladimir Chernikov.
And expert in Rook and games.
Yeah,
Ciao.
expert in ROOK games, as well as expert in Philidor in the yesterday's video. But okay, Vladimir, any surprises for today's day? What can you say? What are your, how do you feel about today's game day?
I feel a little bit boring about today's day in Olympia just because there was no sensational results. Probably at all. Like all the favorites won, all the outsiders lost. Quite boring to be honest.
Yeah, India crushed Iran without any chances, like just
Like you
destroyed.
predicted.
I mean, just gonna be humble, will not brag one additional time how I predict everything. But okay, Iran still has good chances to be in top 5 at least, because he was ahead, and India destroying everybody. Norway, as usual, Magnus carries the rest of the team, is like an anchor, pushing him down. And actually, with Magnus today, we'll begin because he played against Vladimir icon of his childhood, Lekon Lem, and Vietnam, who was showing great results. And Magnus played black pieces. Already once against Turkey, against Yilmaz, he made a draw, which wasn't great, and right now opponent way stronger. Uh, I mean, did you expect Vladimir that Magnus would like win, draw, or lose even?
Every time Magnus play, everyone expects him to win. There is
Yeah,
nothing new about it.
yeah. True. And we not nobody demands, let's say, and asks us why don't we praise Magnus, yeah, like it was in some video about Irigasi, who actually won today to just beat everything out of his opponent. But it
Great.
was
7.5 out of 8.
yeah, and but yeah, being honest again, opponent wasn't that super high rated, and I mean he did perfect job, but the game wasn't as interesting, and in my opinion, today's picks. So Magnus Carlsen, d4, knight f6, d4 e6, knight f3, d5. Right here, many options. Not many actually. Catalan and knight c3 from the main ones. Besides different like sidelines like e3, bishop g5, and so on and so on. Knight c3, c6. Magnus invites Liam into some sort Caro-Kann. Oh, not Caro-Kann, I'm mixing up. All the c6 moves look the same. Slav defense. E3 can be some Biran. Bishop g5 can be another system, and bishop g5 was played in the game. Do you know, by the way, what is like the main tabia nowadays right here in these positions, and what are in general your main moves?
I mean, you're asking the wrong person because I used to play a6 instead of c6 in such positions. But okay, I mean, the bishop e7 looks natural or something like that. Knight
No,
d7.
actually, one of the like biggest theoretical branches right here is to play DC. And the idea is that after e4, there are different approaches, but mainly it's e5, and then people go e5, h6, bishop h4, g5, knight takes, pawn takes, bishop takes, knight b7, which leads to Botvinnik variation with a lot of blow-minding calculations and stuff like that. With, outstanding theory. In my memory, Shirov played something like that. Maybe Anand even played it. Wherein people go here some sort of h6 trade and then position when you want to fall asleep. But Magnus plays knight bd7, and after e3, Magnus already had a similar position against Yilmaz, where he played queen a5, and right here he could play queen a5, which is a legendary Cambridge Prince variation. In my memory, in our hometown with Vladimir, everybody played it with black because of one coach. And Vladimir like, oh, what is he talking about? But yeah.
Who was this coach? Let's ask actually.
Shamshin, Rodolphe.
Ah, yeah, he played this one. Okay, I
Yeah,
actually didn't know it at all.
yeah, okay. Just memory just left your head. But right here, Magnus plays h6. He decided to do something different. Bishop h4 was played, and he choosing bishop e7 move, which looks very solid, as if some Capablanca played. You know, there were many games of Capablanca and Alakine where, let's say, after DC, bishop c4, knight d5, bishop gets traded, and black gets super solid position. In a game, rook c1 was played. And right here, how do you think? Why does white play this move besides being pretty general move in this position. Any
Except
guesses?
of this, okay. I mean, just because I know maybe to mess up some move order or something like that. I don't see there is concrete reason.
There
Maybe
is
some
like
capture later.
there is a super mind-blowing games. It's like really a cool idea, and usually in this Queen's Gambits, in the structures with this, I don't know, London setup in the center, the main idea is that Black at some point wanna play DC. And after bishop c4, play b5, and then play bishop b7, and try to play c5 asap. So that this bishop was cool. And Black doesn't wanna spend tempos, and Black wants to force White to play here first, then take, and only then play b5. And what White wanna do? White doesn't wanna commit bishop move so that his opponent took it and got under b5. So White trying to play all the useful moves possible. So it's kinda waiting who will fail first, like in
Okay, to
some
be honest, Vladislav, you
Western
just serve
movies.
it as, I don't know, some gourmet plate, but to be honest, it's something very obvious. Even my students of 1600 rating know this. I just thought that there
Yeah,
is
yeah,
something
yeah,
smarter
and
than
then
this.
and then that's the reason why you didn't tell it, and that's the reason why
It's too obvious.
1600 students like play, I don't know, some weird
You're so
stuff in
tricky,
the
Vladislav. You're
position.
so tricky.
I mean, that's like obvious until it's not. So it's like it's very interesting detail, in my opinion, in these positions. And we will see that this battle will go on. Castle a3 was played exactly for this reason, because right now after DC, bishop takes c4, b5, bishop can go to a2. My arrow is drunk, but still. And this is an idea. Then it would be hard to play c5 because white will have enough activity. But here actually knight e4 would be good move, which is pretty frequent idea, but it trades lots of pieces, and it's definitely not Magnus pass.
Yeah, when you're lacking of space, you need to trade pieces. But if you Magnus Carlsen, you need to play for a win.
So
So
he
that's why
plays
probably.
a6, trying to prepare it still, trying to bait his opponent into it. And trade here, Liam decided to give up and took on d5, but actually he could continue playing this game by queen c2. And already Magnus will have like so this continues this ping pong play, maybe b6, maybe take, maybe something else. And Magnus really took some time, but 3D already, like when Liam started thinking, take, and now he plays queen c2, which in my opinion worst scenario, because I mean it's already like committed structure. And next move might be total surprise, because very often people go like rook e8, knight e4 in the structure, trying to establish the knight here and start an attack. But Magnus goes knight e8. Any thoughts? Why is this move so useful, or I can explain to our viewers why?
Obviously, I can. The reason behind it, since I know these structures, is that when you can place your knight on d6 with black, it's very, very powerful here. And except of this, yeah, you maintain some more pieces
Yeah,
in
and
the game.
moreover, so the idea is that after white starts point
Yes,
minority
you start
attack,
b5 as well, but
you start b5, and also your knight wanna get to
c4.
c4, especially if you play b5 you're on your own. Right?
Excuse me, Ladislav, I
Yeah.
remember the famous game of mine where I did something like this, and you were criticizing me a lot for leaving my pawn on e6 without a reason. And you said it's very, very bad move.
I don't remember. It probably that was the reason. As usual, you like,
Exactly, there was a point like a4 before, knight c4, b5, a5, something like that happened.
and then you
And yeah.
probably had a weak pawn on c6, which is usually always bad,
Yeah, but what I
and the
didn't,
pawn on
wasn't able to do
a6.
anything there.
Because yeah, usually you don't want to play b5 if let's say white's pawn goes right here, because then this is like an anchor. And
Mhm.
if you don't have a pawn, then of course it's good to get to c4. But again, Vladimir tries to prove him wrong, but definitely it was a fair attack on him.
Vladislav knows better.
Verbal. What?
Vladislav knows better.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Always listen to me. But yeah, I'm joking, of course, but still. Bishop g3, Magnus continue chasing. I mean, I guess after bishop h4, he would probably stop, but Liam wants to play for a win. He goes bishop d3, and Magnus ruins the structure. And right now, despite the fact that there is an open file, there is no way white can easily convert it. And after castling, it might be not good, because if the queen somehow gets to h5 and knight gets to g4, there will be mating attack on h2. Knight of 6 was played, so that the knight could go to d6. Knight goes to e5. knight d6, and right here f3 was played. Can you explain to everyone why such weird move? What does it do? What white has in mind?
Okay, first of all, you stop some jumps to e4 for both of the knights of your opponent, and also if Magnus has bad day, you can throw g4 and checkmate him one day.
And yeah, bishop h7. So usually f3 prepares e4, g4, in this position probably not e4, but let's say g4. And white wants to play king f2 and then go g4 and then start attacking. Rook e8 was played, and right here, king f2 was exactly right idea to play, because what happened in the game? It was knight e2, try and maybe bring the knight closer, but I don't know. Seems like not really a necessity. Knight goes to d7, the move that Vladimir asked me why does it really happen, Rook h5, which really looks unexpected, but it has a lot of ideas like defending it, counter-attacking, and right here Magnus plays f6, and this knight cannot move anywhere because this pawn is attacked, and therefore white forced, instead of getting to perfect outpost, give up the very perfect, really nice knight, and have a weakness on e3. And instead, if white right here played king f2 in the very same line, right here, if black plays f6, it's not going to end well because this pawn is defended. We have different checks. We have knight g6 move, and the pawn is reliably guarded. And let's say it's possible to repeat some moves according to the computer, but I mean, let's say the draw in this game would help Vietnam win this match. So I guess Plicon Lim shouldn't have argued with that. So 92, 97, here takes, pawn is hanging, king f2 was played, Magnus plays f5, and white plays rook e1. And what to do right now for Magnus? Seems like he finished development, his bishop isn't great, but there is a weakness on e3, rook on h5, a bit offside. What to do?
Yeah, I mean, you can try to pressure it at some point with queen e7, but then white just will do some knight f4 probably or whatever and will defend it. But as you can see, if you like to do puzzle rush, you might spot already the move here. For black, it's just combination in two moves. And okay, what do you think, guys? I'll tell you. Rook takes e3.
Yeah, rook takes
Boom.
e3 is the move. And the idea is that after king e3, we have a fork right here on two pieces. And let's say there is no intermediate move for white because black has also intermediate move. And by the way, fun fact, Magnus could take it right here, but it would be extremely worse because in this position, after queen h5, we got knight f4, and the fact that this pawn is not there opens a wide heap of opportunities for white, and white can try to infiltrate, and it's very difficult position to play for black. So Magnus played f5 first, and right here black already up a pawn. Yeah, there are some holes in the position, but pawn is a pawn. And after queen g6, this was the last chance, in my opinion, for Liam to stay alive and to get the victory in the match. He decided to go for activity, but then the queen a little bit got lost. Instead, what he could do is to play knight f4, and then our queen has no options but to go to f6, and then after knight h5, queen f8, and apparently some move like knight f4, it's very hard to play. It's like, I mean, we cannot really move the knight because of some rook e7. There is like knight g6, knight e5 threat, and there is only one idea, is like knight goes e4, which looks, I mean, not easy findable. So queen b6 was played in the game, queen f6, queen here, bishop e8, knight f4, rook c8. What move here would you play, Vladimir? Because I think that Liam definitely has different opinion about this position.
Okay, I know what Lequalen did, and he lost the game on the spot. What I will do is probably keep my queen alive and continue playing the game.
Yeah, because at least we got some rook e5 and some chances. Yeah, position is a pain in the
e6,
ass.
e5 squares, yeah, a
Yeah.
bit activity.
Instead, queen c8 was played, and you can say what is drawn. Like we get two minor pieces and the rook, which is 11 for the queen, which is approximately 9. I mean, we won, right? No, 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 because we need to calculate to the end. Maybe white was thinking that, okay, we can figure something out. No, white cannot. But by the way, fine touch, playing rook f8, because if you like, oh, this is the rook, let's take it, after king f8, what's gonna happen?
Even students without rating will say it. It's knight to e6 fork.
Yeah, and usually during the games, the students like, oh, rook, let's take it, especially if it's time travel. But yeah, there is a double attack fork on the king and the queen. King e7 was played, and the game went on. King went for a walk. White desperately tried to create some activity, but outside passed pawn was really nice. Queen b3, right here, a3. Uh, by the way, white is building mate net, so if you fall asleep, you can get mated, which is pretty important moment. What would you do, Vladimir? Right here, mate in one, scary. Let's how to play.
I mean, for sure, it's not that hard because I mean, Magnus Carlsen is not even Arjun Erigaisi, but even Magnus spotted the move queen takes d3 here.
Yeah, queen takes d3 check, bishop takes a2, and pawn is out of reach. Rook is not gymnast; it cannot jump across the pawn. Would be funny though, but yeah, right here it doesn't work. And this is it. Game is over. Magnus won. But as we know, Team Norway is special team, and even winning Magnus in almost every game is not a guarantee that team can somehow win. And the match ended in 2-2 in the very end. What a pity result, but yeah, we have what we have. And Magnus continues playing lower and lower because teammates do not correspond. But anyway, let's go to the next game. And in our opinion, this game is more interesting. And I mean, it was pretty intense. This is the match between Serbia and Uzbekistan. Actually, by the way, Vladimir, did you expect right here the tough match? Did you give any chances before the game to Team Serbia?
No, absolutely not. Okay, I just know that second board of Uzbekistan wants to lose some games sometimes, but except of this, I mean, Nodirbek must at least hold with black. Third, fourth board are doing fine, so I expected them to win. But okay, I was thinking that maybe like 25% Serbia might have in this matchup.
But yeah, but actually, fun part, all the three games from second to fourth board were finished in a draw, so this was a decisive game between Alexander Predke and Nodirbek Abdusattorov, and this game was full of events with a lot of, I mean, different twists. And probably let's begin. By the way, Nodirbek is right now around already 2780, and it's like Gukesh, Yerigasi, and Abdusattorov are really close to 2800. I don't remember so tough battle. I mean, since I don't know, we were
Who
20,
predict
2800s.
Vladislav to get
Caruanas, Ding, what?
who you predict to get there first?
Of course, best player in the world, Arjun Yerigasi. Of course, of course.
Yeah, I thought also. I thought
Yeah,
also.
yeah. But yeah, without jokes, he's showing great performance. Hope he will have more experience in high-rated tournaments against best players in the world. But I myself like the most Nodirbek because his style is unique, and this game will show it. Because in every game he kind of finds a way to complicate. His preparations are very unexpected. It not always plays for this favor, but in this game it did. So less words, more action. E4, C6, Caro-Kann defense. Pretty interesting opening to play for a win, to play for a draw as well. But on the other hand, if white wants to make a draw, it's usually not such a big effort. E5, bishop f5, h4. Do you know anything about this line?
Okay, that if I go e6, I probably lose the bishop. I don't
Yeah,
need to be an expert
not bad.
to know this.
But
Yeah.
as I know, this is a tile variation. I played it several times, especially when I was younger. Idea is that if opponent plays h6, there is a funny idea with g4, and if the bishop ever goes to h7, we kind of go e6, completely excluding these pieces from the game, and there is a hole on g6 as well. So h6 is like BDSM line for black. Let's put it this way. h5 is normally the best response to prevent g4. But then after bishop d3, there is a c4 line, but I don't like it. It's like, I mean, a very dark forest for me. I don't get these positions. And right here, different setups. One is to play like queen a5 and try to prevent bishop development and try to trade queens to get favorable endgame. Another one is e6, where after bishop g5, people go queen b6, attacking the pawn. And right here, it's like there is a funny line like this, like this, like this, as I remember, where a lot of stuff is hanging all over the place, and it would be, of course, funnier to see it. But Abdusattorov plays queen b6, which is a move. Not the best one, but as I remember, there was some game of Morozevich, at least in my file it was written something like that, but I'm not responsible for it. Ideas are pretty like fuzzy, I would say, because maybe somewhere black wants to play c5 later on and try to create a pressure, plus not letting this bishop be developed. And if white plays kinda slow, like I don't know, knight f3, for instance, yeah, we can like try quickly go all in. So white plays a4. What this move is for? How do you think?
Okay, as always, you pushing these side rook pawns to win a space and whatsoever. But okay.
By the way, this
Uh,
this idea in as well, Caro-Kann was used by Magnus Carlsen versus Max Luperham, and he also tried to do like similar thing. I mean, Caro-Kann magnets this flank pawn pushes. But idea, yeah, is to play 5, and if let's say queen before, there will be cute trap, and queen has nowhere to go. In the game, a5 was played, and white decide, okay, my opponent doesn't play h5, like alert, we need to play g4, which is correct. And next move will be a beginning of a very long story, and for many people it would look insane. White played rook h3. Any explanations to this mysterious move? Not less.
well, I mean, I'm not an expert in Caro-Kann system, but I know a lot of beginners like to bring rook to this game this way, playing h4, rook h3, and then how we saw in the game, actually, after five, like in next five moves, I think he moved the rook 3 or 4 times, and he ended up having -2 with white pieces.
Only two times, do not exaggerate. But actually, rook h3 is very strong move. Idea is to kinda kick away this queen, so that this pawn didn't hang apparently, and later we could develop normally. So if let's say some standard e6 move, let's say we go rook b3, let's say queen c7, c5 maybe is not that scary. We can play some knight a3 so that after c5 we could get to the hole. And for black, it's very problematic to develop. And looking at this position, it rather looks like Vladimir said before the video, like some Fischer's chess, like 960, because it's really like some mysterious positions. And Nodirbek decided, okay, rook went out, let's try to put some pressure, create a pin, rook b3, queen c7. And right here, we have probably two options, or to push or to take. Which one would you choose, and why is it so?
Okay, whatever I do, f5 squares become very weak, so I'll probably take the pawn on h5.
Exactly. And usually, I don't know why Alexander didn't do it. Maybe he had his reasons. But even I know that GH is the main idea in such positions. Yeah, the pawn is weak, but on the other hand, you get G5 square for the bishop, where he can be annoying and defend this pawn. Then the knight on F5 can be, take off, and we can like remove him pretty easily. And this pawn can be very annoying, plus we can defend it. When after G5, you got absolutely the same huge hole, like I don't know with what size, like half of yours or whatever. And the knight from here pressures all the pawns, and this is the reason why it's bad. Nodirbek instantly plays g6, instantly in 10 minutes, but for my usually time spent during the game, it's a second. The idea is to prevent g6 somewhere, which might be annoying. And next move, as Vladimir mentioned, rook is 3, trying to achieve I don't know what, to be honest. I cannot read minds, I cannot explain this move, sorry. I mean, probably my skill is too low. But better was to play already c4, trying to at least get some activity, commit terrible positional... I don't know. outlaws and stuff like that. But idea is that at least we could get e4, and if our opponent plays e6, we can close it down and hope for the best, even though black has some weird ways to handle the situation. Rook e3 was played, bishop g4, knight e2. Actually, better was probably leave the bishop right here so that he could deal with the guys on b5, but his bishop went for a little walk. b3 was played, another mysterious move instead. Okay, but at least it makes some sense. I don't know, maybe we want to play bishop a3, trade dark square bishop, whatever. Knight e7, knight g3, c5. And how do you think? Whose turn is it to play right now?
It's white's turn to play.
I understand, but like in white's pieces, in white's
Okay,
position, what
probably,
piece?
the square on b5 became very weak. So there are two candidate moves: either to throw check directly or try to bring the knight to the game.
And you're absolutely wrong. That's the reason why you're not 2671, and there is a lot of work to do for you, because Rook c3 was played. Rook hasn't like walked enough. It's like, when you go for a walk with your dog and it's running, 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 especially some big dogs. So this is the Rook in this game. It's like everywhere. And yeah, as Vladimir said, weakness created. We need to get there. Knight a3, knight b5. Try to look for some counter play. At least it would be not that bad. Plus we can play c3 later on. Instead, rook c3 is played. Happy Abdusattorov plays knight e c6, opening up the bishop, defending the pawn, and right now taking this pawn is a crime because, I mean, position falls apart. I'm not so sure if it's possible to do bigger damage to this game. But the game is not over, so don't leave. The most interesting part will be in the future. Knight takes, pawn takes, f4, cd, rook takes. So, extra pawn, many weaknesses, position is closed. What else do you need to win, right?
Sure.
Knight d7, knight a3, at least knight comes to b5, and then the moves are pretty natural right here. Knight goes to this juicy outpost where he cannot be taken because there is a massive pawn, I mean, pawn chain in the middle. King e2. I mean, anyway, king has nowhere to go. Bishop c5 defends the pawn on d4 even more. White
Excuse me,
tries.
Vladislav, I will have a question here. I remember we had a very funny video about guess the elo, right? So let's
Yes.
say until this moment after king e2 and what so on was played, what would you guess if you don't know who plays, probably?
I mean, it's like about such positions, people say, or it's an absolute beginner, or it's absolute genius. So, like, it can be
Maybe
everything.
both.
But actually, I would probably guess that it's GM because, I mean, G4, Rook H3, it's too much. It's like it's not possible to guess it.
But okay, if there is a beginner, they like to do this h4,
Yeah,
g4,
yeah.
rook h3, rook
But like,
somewhere,
there are
and then
some
move it three
small,
times.
small details that like shows you that. I mean, it's a
I understand
master.
Ladislav is expert on this guess the elo, but I'm the
Yeah,
one who beat him. Absolutely.
yeah.
I
Because
must say, there
because
will be video
because
again.
because it was like too low category. I'm just more of heavyweight guys cannot really compete in this lightweight things with this like simple rules. But yeah, I mean, like a4 clearly the move showing that the guy knows the drill, and like this maneuver with the rook. I mean, pretty cool.
Yeah.
Then something went wrong. Okay, king goes to the safe place. King g6, king f1, rook d8, rook e2, king g7, king g2, and trade here. Actually, how do you think what Nodirbek needed to do? Because he decided to move his knight, trying to point out that from here he will attack a lot of weaknesses, and then he kinda got stuck because it was very hard to move on from here. What was better to do and why?
Well, okay, now we know that. And while I was watching the game, it was looking like a very natural thing to move the knight to e7 and g6 because there are two targets for this knight. But as you know, what happened is finally was kind of wasting time. And if he would play knight a7 fast and get rid of the knight on b5,
Yeah,
it would be a
because
great
if
idea.
you look, this bishop not doing anything. This bishop, okay, attacks the pawn who's defended 1000 times. So yeah, doesn't make any sense. This piece is also doing nothing. Knight is the only active piece in the position right here, so he needs to be removed, and after it can open us some doors to continue pushing, probably. In the game instead, knight e7 was played. This knight a7 maneuver could have been played earlier even. And straight here, Nodirbek started having some trouble, even though he had 34 minutes versus 3, which is, I mean, not expected, but seeing how much, what sort of moves White was doing, it's clear that White didn't like the position that much. And straight here, Nodirbek goes for a sacrifice. He wanted to get to c3 to improve his bishop, but he gives up a pawn because it's doubled, and then he goes back. This is not really the maneuver you would see, especially with an exclamation mark. But I suspect that, yeah, he wanted somehow to remove dark square bishop because there are holes, and this was the only way to do it, so he even committed a pawn murder. But, I mean, this is a really great play, really awesome. I mean, brilliant idea. I would definitely not leave something like that. Maybe out of desperation already, but really good idea.
That's why we like this player.
Yeah. Rook c8 was played. Why is it so? Because as we said, we want to remove this bishop, so we need to hurry up with that and do it right now, right here, because right now white can go back to b2, which continues resistance, but white, again, low on time,
Forces
playing
black
logical
to
moves,
jump.
and right here comes knight c3, blow-minded move. Idea is that we're attacking everybody. Knight can no longer take the knight because we have a fork, and after bishop takes c5, queen takes c5, takes, we make a lot of trades, and then knight is dominating versus the bishop, plus our rooks are extremely strong. Ready after knight b5, ab, rook c3, king g3. Knight decided to go to the better place because he's no longer useful on g6. And after king d1, he plays on the side where he's strong. It's already after 40's move, but I mean, it's not good news for white because position is not getting any better. And after ba, it was a critical moment because we can take with the knight, which 99% would do, which was probably fine. We have rook a8 and rook a3. And which move is the best, Vladimir?
Okay, so the move is rook a3, but why you can find it, right? How you can find it? The point is that when you are much better, always try to look at any possible counterplay of your opponent. And if we'll look at this position, I mean, the only moves that give something to white is g6 here, right? At some point.
Yeah, true.
And okay, then you have time to get the check on a1.
Yeah,
And after king lifts, the rook from d2 doesn't come to the g file.
yeah, so we can either take right here, or as computer recommends, to play knight e4 even in between. And the idea is that if we play rook g2 first, then we are just in time to eat lots of pawns. And then already rook g3 is not in time. Maybe take the bishop first, trying to like maybe even trap somehow the opponent. So this was a better move, which I don't know. Maybe Nodirbek rushed because he played pretty fast and he was thinking that the game was over. But right now white had a chance to play g6, so white plays rook g2 and then goes g6. I don't know if it was a surprise, but Nodirbek took like 5 minutes to think right here. He takes knight d3, gf right here, and apparently, according to the engine, this position already holdable, despite the fact that black still clearly better. And I remind you, the score is 1.5 and 1.5, and this is very important game. And everybody probably made draws because, like, okay, Nodirbek will definitely win this. But right here, he kinda make his team nervous. d4 is played to play rook a2, and rook g3, looking for a counterplay king d1, and right here after capture rook d2 was played, which is a funny move because seems like there is nothing easier to win the opponent game with an extra pawn, but the point is that this pawn is not really extra and this position is already a draw. So, how do you think? What pawn would it be better to take? This one or the one on h?
Okay, for sure the b5 pawn, because we know that once you go for the pawn, white will also start to search a counterplay, like with rook takes d4 probably, and then the rook enters to d7, and then b7 pawn can be in danger, so rook b3 is a better option in this
Yeah,
position.
because then after take, we defend this pawn and we have probably better chances. Still, it's probably a draw, but Nodirbek decided to choose other approach, which is more calculating, but this like young generation very good at calculations. White is really playing very nicely, again short on time, but looking for this opportunity. Rook g4, king goes to the center. Rook g1, king f2, rook goes away, and white picks up a pawn. So right now they are absolutely even, but black's pawn is more aggressive. King h5 was played because the rook also guards it very well. King g4 is the threat, so we cannot really let it happen. h3, and here was the critical moment, because after h2, h1, the pawn will be promoted and the game would be over. Any thoughts what can be the defense with 2 minutes on the clock? Pretty hard to find, but still.
Yeah, it's difficult to see. So it was b7 at first, very logical move in this position, then h2.
And
And
right
then
now
what
we cannot really take the pawn because I mean all of our pawns
all the
will
pawns will
be
fall.
down.
Hmm.
So what do we need to do?
And then only chance for white is to promote queen, threatening mate in one on
Yeah,
h8. So black has to take this queen.
looks pretty dumb because we're giving up a pawn. But
And
now,
now,
yeah, go on.
exactly, if white wants to have rook h7, it will be a huge mistake because after this move, black collects all the pawns on f4 and on e5 and wins. But there is funny idea with king g2.
And the
So
idea
king
is
cut
that
off the
yeah,
boards. Yeah,
after this check in h1, it looks like king is coming closer or it's the pawns because we cannot really leave the uh, g file. But then after king h3, stunning rook g3 comes, and right here king cannot take it because it's a stalemate. So really brilliant idea, but Alexander couldn't find it. He played rook g5, which was act of desperation, and right here position is easily winning, surely winning, and this is it. Both of the pawns going down, and Uzbekistan probably tomorrow will play India. By the way,
yes,
how
they
do you
will.
think? How do you think how the game will end?
I think, unfortunately for Uzbekistan, they had black again. So Nodirbek will play with black versus Gukesh tomorrow. And it will be pretty tough. I mean, I'm thinking that I expect this will end up
And
in the draw.
also Yarigasi will play white, most likely.
Yeah, and Teregaisi play white, but okay, at least the famous Yakuboev will play with white pieces as well. So I think it will be a very critical game, but I believe that Prague is a very, very solid player. I don't see Yakuboev winning at all as well. So I would say 2.5 for India. I think India will win
Yeah,
another.
I mean, I see how Uzbekistan can stay alive, but probably, yeah, like Indian kids, I mean, higher rated, and they're like on a perfect score right now, didn't lose any points. It will be a very tough game for Uzbekistan and their leader, Nodirbek Abdusattorov, but if he will surprise his opponent as today, who knows, who knows. So, please comment our video, like and subscribe if you like our
Also,
content.
excuse me, before we
Yeah.
finish this video, I have a very sad news for Indian fans of our channel. The women's section, the Polish team won against India
Oh God.
today. So, yeah, it was quite surprising. Even yesterday, you know me, I didn't expect this. I said for sure India will win again. But finally, they become tied. Like, there is even third team with 14 points. It is also Kazakhstan.
Yeah.
So that's
Actually,
getting.
we predicted it in our podcast, and
Yeah, I did
actually,
it.
I put Poland in top three, so my pick right
That
here
is true as
works.
well.
Yeah. So anyway, so stay tuned in. Tomorrow also there will be a recap, and goodbye.
Ciao.